Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, and what a weekend for Mike Elko and the Texas A&M Aggies. Not only a legendary second half comeback against South Carolina, we're talking about some monster commitments on the recruiting trail. We're talking about some potential monster commitments that could be coming down the road over the next couple of days, and we're talking about locking in Mike Elko to a contract extension. I want to start with some of the recruiting storylines that we weren't able to get to yesterday because we had to talk about that second half comeback. But I also want to talk about this Mike Elko contract extension. I look at Texas A&M and say, hey, if I were asked to buy stock in a singular program for the next 5 to 10 years, I'm not sure if I'm buying stock in any other program than Texas A&M. And we've quietly talked about this. I mean, one of the biggest storylines is, look, Texas A&M just looks like the best team in the SEC. They look like a national championship caliber team. But we also talked about the future, what Mike Elko is trying to build. With the sport of college football this year in just absolute chaos, specifically in the SEC, you're looking for the programs that are navigating the waters well. You're looking for the programs that are ascending. It's Texas A&M. And I think Mike Elko realizes that too. This is an opportunity for Texas A&M not only to have a really damn good season in 2025, it's an opportunity for Texas A&M to take control of this conference for the next 5 to 10 years, and Mike Elko is trying to take advantage. Now, we're going to start with the commitments that pop for Texas A&M in the 2027 cycle. We're going to talk about a few monster commitments that could potentially pop for Texas A&M in the 2026 cycle, and I do want to give some takes on the Mike Elko contract extension. Like, golf clap for Texas A&M. You have found your guy, and I know we're early in Mike Elko's tenure. We're only a year and a half in. I don't think it takes a genius to realize he's the right guy and go lock him in and let him build and give him the resources he needs. Really exciting time, not only for the next couple of weeks and months for Texas A&M. I think it's going to be a really fun next couple of years if you're a Texas A&M fan. And we know this fan base has been put through the absolute ringer over the last decade. I think it's going to be a fun ride the next couple of years. Now, before we get into it, as always, the Texas A&M fans, this program has been so fun to talk about. What's going on the football field, how Mike Elko is building this thing on the recruiting trail. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support y'all have shown the fellas. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, let's start with a few monster commitments in the 2027 cycle. And I'm going to say this: if things go according to plan for Texas A&M in 2026, the class that they're about to sign in the next couple of weeks, we're looking at maybe a top 3 class in the country. You take an early sneak peek at what Texas A&M is doing in 2027 and say, to me, it's the early leader in the clubhouse to sign the best class in the country, and it could be a special class at that in 2027. And it got 2 monster commitments over the weekend. Now, let's start with the one that popped Sunday. Jaquan Snell from the state of Texas. He's going to be a fan favorite. If you like bone-crushing safeties, I mean, this kid's level of physicality is just a little bit different. You're going to love Jaquan Snell. I get the feeling that he's going to be a Texas A&M fan favorite over the next 4 to 5 years. Now, when you look at this kid, number one, he's 6'3", he's 200 pounds. That fits the mold of what Mike Elko is trying to do in the secondary. We've talked about it for the last year and a half. He wants length, he wants size, and he wants speed. We're going to bet on the athletes, and we're going to make them good football players. Jaquan Snell has all of that. He's a multi-dimensional safety as well. You can do anything you want with him at 6'3", 200 pounds. If you want to put him in the tackle box and ask him to support the run, he can do that. If you want to play him as a single high ball hawking safety with his size and length combined with the speed, he's got a lot of range. He's got a lot of playmaking ability. He's a really fluid athlete for being 6'3". I think he can be a guy that you can use in man coverage against some bigger, maybe tight ends or slot wide receivers. There is infinite possibilities that you can use Jaquan Snelling. And we talk about this all the time. Look at what Texas A&M wants to do on defense. They want to be multiple. They want to be really versatile. They want to give different personnel groupings. They want to give different looks. Well, if you want to be really multidimensional in the back end, you got to have multidimensional football players. Jaquan Snell's that guy. Now on Saturday, right before kickoff, I believe, you get another monster commitment. That's Raylan Henry. Again, 2027 cycle guy. This kid has the opportunity to be a absolute cornerback one in the SEC. 6'1", 180, super long arms. Like they got to be 33 inches. You just take one look at the film and say, all right, he's got a nice frame, but those arms are really long. And here's the thing. He ain't afraid to use those arms. It's one thing to have long arms as a cornerback. It's another thing to know how to use it. And Raylan Henry does that. This kid, I should say, his movement patterns are incredibly impressive. I mean, he is smooth as silk when he is mirroring these wide receivers, can play some press man coverage, has the long speed to run with wide receivers vertically. This kid is a box checker at the cornerback position, in my opinion, probably going to end up as a 5-star prospect, and he's from St. Francis Academy. I don't know what it is, but over there in the DMV, they are pumping out some elite cornerbacks. Ife Obadegu came out of there 2 years ago. Brandon Finney came out of the DMV last year. Look, I'm betting on the cornerbacks that are coming out of the DMV. I'll say that, and that's what Texas A&M is doing as well. And I love what Texas A&M is doing, where we're doing a really good job in the state of Texas, right? That's always going to be a priority for Texas A&M on the trail. But because of the ascension that you're seeing this program have, you're drawing talent from everywhere across the country. We've seen Texas A&M dominate in the state of Georgia on the trail. We've seen Texas A&M go out to the state of California and have a ton of success. Now you're going to the DMV, like another hotbed of high school recruiting. We're taking care of our own backyard, but we're going everywhere for some of the best players across the country. 2 monster commitments in the 2027 cycle. Currently, Texas A&M in the 2027 cycle. It's the number 1 class in the country. They have 7 commitments already. 5 of them are top 100 players in the country. An elite start for Texas A&M in 2027, which takes us to our next conversation, and that is, hey, what's going on in 2026? Because we're trying to close in a big way. This is what we said a couple of weeks ago. Texas A&M is going to go big game hunting. And what I mean by that is there are a couple of monster names that Texas A&M recruited really damn hard in the summer that ended up committing to other SEC programs. The 2 names that I want to point out, number 1, Braylon Womack. And this is another I've already made the comment, so we'll keep it short. It's Caleb Downs, right? I mean, when you turn on the film for Braylon Womack, he does everything at a really high level. And although this kid's a really good athlete, you don't get 5 stars next to your name without being a really good athlete. Between the ears, this kid's different. His command and understanding of the sport is on a whole nother level. And what I love about Braylon Womack is he's kind of that one of those prospects that's 1 bird, 2 stones. You might want to add a safety in the portal going into next year. Well, you're getting a guy in Braylon Womack at the high school ranks who I think can be a year 1 guy. So this takes a little bit of pressure off Texas A&M to, if you can land this commitment, it takes some pressure off of Texas A&M to go out into the portal and land a safety, because I firmly believe if you land Braylon Womack's commitment and you get this kid on campus in the winter, I think he can help this team in a big-time way in 2026. Now, the other name, KJ Ford, and you are seeing Texas A&M just load up on line of scrimmage players, man. And KJ Ford, y'all know, is one of my favorite prospects in the state. 6'4", 250 pounds. He plays with a level of mean streak that is very, very intriguing. Kind of wired like Cassius Howell. Like, you might have to yank the leash a little bit on KJ Ford, but again, we say this all the time. I'd rather have to yank the leash and draw him back than try to bring out that physicality and that psychopathness. KJ Ford's that guy. Can win with power, can win with speed around the corner, is really present in the run game, plays with an absurdly high motor as well. It's a box checker. And we're all seeing, I mean, you want to take as many stabs at this position as possible. We're seeing how how having that elite edge rusher is just changing Texas A&M on defense. Those guys are hard to find in the portal. And you kind of got lucky with Cassius Howell coming from Bowling Green. If you want to have more Cassius Howells, you got to make sure you recruit the high school ranks the right way. That's what Texas A&M is trying to do. You land these two commitments in Braylon Womack and KJ Ford, who are both on campus for the win this weekend, you're looking at a top 3 class in the country. I want to quickly talk about Mike Elko's contract extension too. It gives us a little bit of a time to step back and say, hey, what has Mike Elko? Why is Mike Elko the right guy at Texas A&M? And I think it starts with this, right? Anytime you start evaluating a head coach, are they winners, man? Mike Elko, the culture feels fundamentally different now than it did 3 years ago. I don't even know if the talent on the football field is all that different. Like Jimbo Fisher had a really talented roster, just something felt different. It felt like it wasn't a great culture. It certainly wasn't a winning culture. We needed a coach to come in and bring the winning out of this program. Fair to say Mike Elko's done that. But here's what I'll say. Winning 1 year, it's not enough. You've seen some programs make some mistakes and give a lot of money to coaches that maybe had a good year or two, but maybe haven't laid the foundation the right way. I think Shane Beamer at South Carolina got a contract extension last year at this time. And as good of a job as Shane Beamer did in 2024, there were some question marks about how Shane Beamer's building South Carolina. Same conversation for Mike Norvell a couple of years ago. Even Mike Norvell was winning a lot of football games back in 2023. Significant question marks about how he was recruiting and how he was building that roster and the coaching staff that he had. In my opinion, when you want to go out and pay a coach a lot of money, winning is not enough. You got to make sure it looks and smells right too. For Mike Elko, it does. I mean, you start evaluating some of the most important things that you want to see from a head coach. I think it starts with talent acquisition, especially in this conference. When you want to win in the SEC, you have to recruit like Georgia. You have to recruit like Alabama. You have to recruit like Texas. It is very clear that Texas A&M is doing that. And I think they're balancing it really well. They are recruiting the heck out of the high school ranks. They're going to sign a top 5 class this cycle, top 3 class next cycle. They've been in the top 10 as long as Mike Elko's been there. But you're supplementing in the portal at not just a good level, it's an elite level. You know, you look at Mike Elko and the evaluations that he's made in the portal, that's fundamentally changed this program. Mario Craver and KC, man, it makes this team different. And so you're seeing him build this roster at the high school ranks, but also supplement at such a high level with the portal additions that this program has made. That's how you got to do it in this era of college football. It's not enough just to recruit high school really well. You have to be effective in the portal, but it's not enough just to use the portal well, because you have to recruit at some sort of level the high school ranks as well. Mike Elko, to me, from a roster building standpoint, there's not many programs and coaches that are walking that line and building their roster better. What about player development? I mean, when you recruit well and you develop players and you have a winning culture, though that's the trifecta. Player development's been elite at Texas A&M. I mean, look all over the football field. I think the most prevalent here is the offensive line. I mean, Texas A&M's offensive line in 2023 was a freaking disaster. Mike Elko brings in Adam Cushing. It gets better in 2024. It's becoming really good in 2025. Everybody's gotten better on the offensive line. It's not a vastly different unit than Texas A&M had 2 years ago, but your players are getting better and you're playing better as a unit. Marcel Reed, there's not a quarterback that has taken a bigger step in the right direction in the country than Marcel Reed. So quarterback development, you feel pretty good about. Shout out Coach Colin Klein. What about the secondary? You could point to a guy like Cassius Howell, who came from Bowling Green to Texas A&M in 2 years. He's become one of the best players in the sport. What about the secondary, though? This is not a new secondary. This is the same secondary you had last year. Now, last year's secondary was woefully inconsistent, was not great with communication, consistently blew coverages and gave up big plays. This year, with the same group, Des Ricks has gotten way better. But more importantly, this unit as a unit is playing much better. You got a winning culture that he's established. You're recruiting at a very, very high level, arguably the best program in the country right now when it comes to talent acquisition. When you combine what they're doing at the high school ranks and in the portal, and we got a coaching staff that's developing players the right way. It's not only winning when you're evaluating coaches. Winning matters the most, but it's not the only metric we use. Everything feels right about Texas A&M, and that is, to me, what excites me the most. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.